If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From the DraftKings Sportsbook at the Queen Casino downtown Baton Rouge, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott is back off of vacation. Jordan Kinch's in the studio. Max Gotro is with it. Our golf guy goes on vacation the day after the Masters. We got Max coming on via, and we're going to do this.
It's hard to find, Charlie.
We're going to do this first segment because he's in between flights and we wanted to get his stuff. This is about as heavy a news day as you'll ever see at this time of year. The Pelicans have fired David Griffin. We're going to get to that in the second segment. Derek Carr, his future with the Saints in question. LSU baseball swept over the weekend. Tragic accident involving former LSU football player, and there's just plenty to get to. First, Jimmy, how was your trip?
Trip was good.
Yeah.
It's what a vacation should be. You're doing something you've never done before, and it was relaxing. It was great. It really was. To the superlatives apply, man. It was great.
And we'll have some time to talk about that. We got Max for a minute here. Like I said, he is in between flights. Max, Rory McIlroy, you promised you'd never bet on him in a major, but he finally comes through. I've got a lot of thoughts about the Masters. I was glued to the TV all weekend watching that in LSU baseball. What did you think coming down the stretch yesterday with Rory McIlroy and company at Augusta?
Well, I just landed here at George Bush Intercontinental Airport. It was a bit of a rough landing. Had a bit of turbulence, kind of bounced around on the tarmac a little bit, but we're safe and sound, and it felt quite analogous to Rory McIlroy's finish yesterday. It was bouncy, it was bumpy, it was very turbulent. It was up and down, but there were somehow the best shots you'll see. The amount of times there were shots that you'll say, man, that's the shot of the Masters. You'll remember this forever. There were like 3 of those in this round, and yet there were 4 that were inexplicably terrible. I mean, his putter left him once again, which we saw at Pinehurst. You know, he couldn't all of a sudden make a 5-foot putt to cash in on some of those great shots that he hit. The chip shot on 13, hitting into the water, especially after he explained what happened in his post-game, his post-round conference, talking about how he tends to hit that shot out to the left. So he actually aimed right at a flag. He basically aimed into the water and hits it in the water and almost blows it. But look, it was a great day for golf. It was a tremendous round. So happy for Rory. And it really gets that monkey off the back. I mean, you could see the relief. He was almost hyperventilating there on the 18th green.
But Max, for a big part of the round yesterday, it didn't seem like – it looked like it was going to be smooth sailing. Okay, at the end of round 3, Bryson's making a charge. He's doing his phony, embracing, and let me say just over the top, love affair with the gallery, trying to get them going. He wants to get in that pairing, and maybe he feels that applies pressure on McIlroy to get in that final pairing. And then McIlroy gives up, the 3 strokes in the first 2 holes, but then he responds, gaining 4 strokes, and is just cruising, Max. I mean, hitting every fairway for a big part of yesterday. It looked like it wasn't going to be very bumpy.
Well, even when it was in jeopardy, I think of the shot on hole 7 where he's in the trees. He looks like he has no real shot. He goes through. I think he clips a pine needle. He almost jars it. I mean, it lips out. Now, he missed the birdie putt, but he was managing the round very well, and it felt like maybe that double bogey, and he even said this after the fact, that the opening double bogey on the first hole where he 3-putted kind of actually settled him in, because it was like, okay, now I have to, go out and get this thing rather than have a real lead. But once he got that lead again, I think he had those thoughts, and he really got away with one on 11. I thought when he really could have gotten away. Where I honestly thought he had won the tournament when he hit the green on 12. That's where George Spieth, of course, blew his tournament back in 2016 when he hit in the water on the par 3, the Golden Bell, the famous 12th hole. So when he got through there, I felt pretty comfortable. But really, he was fortunate on 11 where he was chipping out and hits a bank on the front right of the green that almost always picks the ball into that pond. He somehow finished a foot away from going down the shaved bank and into the pond. He ended up making bogey anyway, but it was always a little bit on edge, but thankfully for him, Bryson did not have his game. He missed left all day long and really didn't apply pressure immediately. But then once he fell back, obviously there was Rose, there was Oberg, and almost the Patrick Reed. There were a few to apply a little bit pressure late.
I mean, even Scheffler was going from the sand to the sand to the sand to the sand. I mean, even when he was kind of, with Rory. And the crazy thing about that horrible shot in the water was he laid up.
Yeah.
I mean, he played safe.
He's got the absolute perfect angle.
He played safe, and he still puts it in there. So, I mean, protect. But Annie, we wonder about the pressure, their putts and their pressure putts. I mean, his reaction after he had to hit a shot so close to where it was not what was it, an 18-inch putt?
It was inside of 3 feet.
2-footer. I mean, it was he had to make such a great shot where he kind of took the putting out of it, because was it a 3-footer he missed on 18?
It was 5.
It was 5? It was 5?
Yeah, the AP said 5. Okay. So his ability to bounce back from his miscues, even going back to Thursday, he's going to 15, 4 under par, and he comes home in 4 over in the last 4 holes, 2 double bogeys. But he responds to that. He plays well Saturday. Friday. He plays well Saturday. He overcomes the early double bogey on Sunday. He overcomes the disaster at 13. He goes to 18 and he hits into the bunker. I thought I think it was Trevor Emmelman on the broadcast said this is an up and down he's going to make about 90% of the time if it's just a day. But it's not a day. It's the Masters. It's the Grand Slam. And so he hits this thing to 5 feet, and then he misses the putt. He's got to compose himself again, go back to the tee, hit a good shot. And, look, it's not like Justin Rose played badly on that playoff hole.
No.
He's in the fairway. He's got 15-foot. Yeah, he missed a 15-foot putt. He had to make those shots again. Time after time, Max, he had to compose himself after something really bad had happened to win this golf tournament.
Yeah, and another thing he mentioned in his post-round presser, after receiving the green jacket, was that his caddy, Harry Diamond, had received a lot of criticism over the years. It's a longtime friend of his, childhood friend. He grew up playing the same golf course. And at one point he had a real caddy, a genuine, professional caddy who had that background on his bag. And he ended up parting ways with him, bringing on his friend Harry Diamond. And they have been on this 7-year run together, I believe, where he has not won a Masters. And there's been some criticism of his caddy for not being able to really be assertive in certain moments, that maybe he makes some poor decisions like taking on that flag on 13, which is inexplicable because there's a slope that everyone uses to get it close to the hole. He could have easily used that with his left miss and hit it close, but instead he hits it in the water. There were just some mistakes and some lack of composure that he had made in Masters before where maybe he was doing a little bit too much of things himself, having a friend on the bag. But on the way back to the playoff hole, after missing a 5-footer to win the tournament, he gave a lot of credit to his caddy. He said, look, he just said, back on Monday, we would have wished we could be here. We would have loved to have said, you're in a playoff to win your first green jacket. And so in that sense, you have to give his caddy some credit, and that maybe just that friendly experience together, was able to compose him a little bit more than, say, a professional caddy, which is ultimately, in a lot of ways, why some people believe Rory's been held back this long.
Well, I mean, how much farther? I mean, Rose hits a perfect driver, but how far? I mean, Rory's so much longer. I mean, he's got to hit such an easier club on the approach shot. I mean, Max, how much did he outdrive him by? 45 yards? I mean, you get when Rose was hitting, you say, oh, there he is, way up there. How much farther did he hit that one on the playoff hole?
It was 30, 35 yards, I believe. I know Rory had 125 in. I want to say Rose had 156, so it was 30 yards or so.
Yeah.
And those are such impressive drives. both of them on 18. Even the one where he made bogey. I mean, he was in the catbird seat. It was over, and then he pushes it into the bunker. You love the joke, Jimmy, about when they say he wasn't committed on that shot. A lot of times I thought it was just nerves, but on that one I think it was a little bit of a lack of commitment, leaving the shot out to the right. Didn't want to overturn that.
Always a lack of commitment, Max.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's always a lack of commitment.
You know what he did on the playoff hole? He said, forget about what he did with Rose. He did 2 yards better on his playoff hole drive than he did on 18 in regulation. And he said that was the difference. He said that in the post game. I watched the whole post game. He said I was 2 yards closer. He said that made for the perfect club to put it onto that slope to bring it back toward the hole. I was surprised, Max, that I was expecting Rose's ball to come back 4 or 5 feet, and apparently he missed the ridge by just a little bit. Rory hit it, and he said those 2 yards made a difference. It was
absolutely.
the perfect drive.
Because Rose was putting way better than Rory coming down the stretch.
Yes. 20-footer he made regulation.
Yes.
My goodness.
I would just push back a little bit. You said he drove the ball well, when he was comfortable. He missed a lot of fairways, actually, and his driver was the strength all week long. If you remember on the first and second hole, he hit it into the bunkers on the right on the first hole, and barely. I mean, just barely didn't catch over the lip. It hit the lip. It came back in. Both days Saturday, both of those holes, he carried those bunkers. So maybe he was just a little bit nervy, a little bit tight on the first couple holes. And then after, he was doing a lot of chipping out from under trees, but he just was miraculous. All the hard shots he aced, and all the easiest shots he inexplicably could not make them come through. So it was a very bizarre round. It's going to be one that's very, very memorable in Masters history. And the reaction, I mean, we haven't seen something like that since Tiger won in 19. We just don't get moments like that. Of course, everyone's going to be emotional winning a Masters, but with the burden that was on him for so long, you could just feel the relief. I mean, I'm not the biggest Rory fan, and I was just so much rooting for him down the stretch, because you can only imagine what he would have been, going through if he lost again.
Well, the post round presser. I mean, right. I got a question for y'all. He's letting you know. He's laying his cards down. How tired how worn out, and then I mean, he hits a 2-footer, and he goes and we completely lose it. He showed you, He showed you, and he told you just how much pressure it was on it.
What are we going to talk about next year?
Yeah. I mean, all right. We love Jim Nantz, but 3 times in one day, the shot of a lifetime, that kind of doesn't add up, does it? Huh?
The math is a little bit fuzzy there.
Look, I heard the final call with Rory, and then he was like these staged comments, and then you listen to Rico's call, and he had a much better final call. He really did.
The Rory stuff. Rory's the story, okay?
I know, but he was trying to rhyme. Rory's story, the whole,
after the
glory.
After the 3rd or 4th or 5th, look back to the grainy footage from, when he was 8 years old. It got a little bit tiresome. I give them credit for one thing, though. From the time he makes the call, the putt goes down, pretty much till the time Rory says, I got to go get my green jacket, they didn't say a word. They let the story tell itself. Well, so I give them credit for that. Did they overdo it with Rory a little bit in the back? Yes.
But part of the storyline is, I mean, where is golf right now with the live? And here's a guy was forced to be in the front, handle media. And here's Bryson, one of the big villains, who's, cheesing it up with the fans. I mean, just over the top. And, that was – and thought he was going to look him in the eye again and beat him like he did in the Open. And Rory responded after he looked like the first 2 holes he was going to cave again. So I thought they could have played that up a little bit more. But it's the whole live thing is like the hush hush. When it's there. It's been a huge storyline of golf, and over the last couple of years.
Of course, it's a factor. And what's interesting is at the U.S. Open, Bryson, I would almost say, had a bit of a home field advantage. The U.S. Open could be a little bit more boisterous. I heard it described this morning by No Laying Up, who was doing a post-game show. It's more accessible. The U.S. Open is more accessible, right? It's hard to get in the Masters. And if you're going to Augusta as a patron, you're there to kind of witness history. So the home game was sort of a factor in this. I don't think that's why Bryson lost. He didn't have his game. But ultimately, Rory had a little bit more of the crowd with him as well. than they did at the U.S. Open, and maybe that could have been better portrayed. I did think the one thing that CBS did a great job of depicting the scoreboards as they were changed. They're changed manually. There are no electronic scoreboards. And how everyone, because they don't have phones, there's no other way to track it until you're waiting on 18, just waiting with your good seat and just hoping to see Rory put up a good score. And at times he was putting up double bogeys, and at times he was putting up birdies and eagles. So it was very dramatic, and I thought they did a good job of telling that part of the story.
That was cool.
Sure, the live part was absolutely important.
Well, the crowd Sunday that you want to be a part of history. You want to be there. It's such a tough ticket to begin with, and then you could be there for that one. I mean, that's something that's when I talk about my first Final Four is a guy named Michael Jordan hit the game winner as a freshman for North Carolina. That's something that sticks with you forever. And there's a lot of golf fans that were golf fans for life that were there yesterday. But leaving that 18th on Saturday. Man, Bryson had him eaten out of his hands. Keep in mind, as a patron, you are so forced to the rules. And here's a guy who's doing everything to do that you can get a little emotion and get. I mean, he had that crowd. It was a different crowd on Sunday.
It was. They talk about the Sunday roars. They used to talk about Tiger roars at Augusta. This was simimer to it. You could tell that they were rooting for history. You're right about that, Jimmy. Everyone absolutely wanted to be a part of that.
A smooth landing wouldn't have made it so exciting for Rory, huh? As part of history.
Jimmy, honestly, we have not had a close Masters since 2019, and even then, Tiger made bogey on the last hole to win by one. But Scheffler and Rahm have kind of run away with these Masters as of late, so we finally had some drama down the stretch, and that was very much appreciated as well. But we'll see what happens with Rory now. I mean, this might be uplifting enough to where now, the drought is over. Maybe we'll see. He's playing the best golf he has played in a very, very long time, and he's going back to a golf course.
Oh, really? Somebody pushed back on that pre-tournament when I brought that up.
Really? I thought the emotions were too much, and it almost was. But you were right. He's playing great golf, and now the PGA Championship in just a month's time. He's won at Quail Hollow 4 times in his career, including the first time he ever won on the PGA Tour. So it's a great spot for him, and maybe this thing opens things up, even though the finish wasn't exactly as smooth as he would have wished.
It could go two different ways. He can be complacent, or he can relieve all the stress and things like that. But one thing the odds makers, it's even Steven now between him and Scheffler.
Yeah, he will be is he the favorite at?
That's even.
It's even. Okay,
yeah,
right.
He and Scheffler.
Max, have a safe trip. We'll see you when you get back. Have a good run.
Appreciate it. He's at the Zurich in 2 weeks, by the way. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, he and Shane Lowry, they're back.
You see Lowry's embrace too. That was that's good. That's not
genuine. That ain't manufactured.
That's and there was a little manufactured emotion by Bryson. That was real. That was real. Charlie, I had to come over here, man. I had to get my fix, man. The last day of the NBA, a great day in Major League Baseball. We had the Masters on the big screen yesterday. We had some college baseball also. The best place to watch sports in this town is right here at the Queen Casino in the DraftKings Sportsbook. The betting menu, all kinds of live betting options. So you got all kinds of college baseball games on the menu over here at the DraftKings outlet. 20 or so different kiosks, multiple tellers waiting for you. And if you need some questions asked, they could do that as well. Futures galore, in-game, live. It was happening over here for the final round of the Masters. My place, my hometown. When the GPS, when I get in my Tahoe, my Go Chevy Tahoe, my buddy Lee Carney sent me up. It says office. This is my home office away from home, the Queen Casino in the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at the Queen, live at lunch. So big news out of New Orleans. Yes, it turns out Gail Benson is paying attention. David Griffin, who's been the general manager for the last team president for the last 6 years, has been fired by the team. Pelicans finished up yesterday with a loss to Oklahoma City. They're 21-61 for the season. I think with Griffin, what you look at is the guy made some mistakes, and certainly he had a lot of bad luck. But there were some good things to it as well. He drafted some players outside of the lottery that turned out to be really good players for New Orleans. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, who was a free agent, Yves Misi, just as a rookie this past year. There were some good things in there, but ultimately, what I'll remember about the time with David Griffin is they could never keep a team on the floor. And I know they changed out the entire training staff. They brought the guys in from Phoenix, and they were supposed to be up, but they could never keep a team on the floor. Yesterday, when they played, and I know the game didn't mean anything, Zion Williamson, C.J. McCollum, Herb Jones, Yves Misi, Jordan Hawkins, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, plus DeJounte Murray, who was there, and Trey Murphy. I mean, they were playing with a G League team yesterday. And if it would have just been yesterday because the season's over, that's fine. But there were times, 4 different losses by more than 40 points this year. They had their worst loss in the history of the franchise on Friday night. Things have spiraled out of control. The question I've got, Jimmy, is you fired David Griffin. That's fine. It's time for a fresh look at this thing. But are you going to fire Willie Green too? And something has just happened here that I think kind of should crystallize it. And Willie Green had a nice uptick for 3 years before all of the injuries this year. But we don't know if he's a championship coach, and certainly was not able to overcome those things. But the Suns just fired Mike Budenholzer. And last week, the Nuggets fired Mike Malone. These are 2 coaches that have won a championship in the last 4 years. Before this season in Phoenix, Budenholzer had won the Central Division with Milwaukee 5 times and had won an NBA championship. Before he was fired this season in Denver, Malone had finished first or second in the division 5 years in a row and had won an NBA championship. Like the Saints, okay, there are qualified coaches out there, much more qualified coaches than the one you have. So you have to make that move too.
You say, and like you said, when you've got much more accomplished coaches being fired at other places, why is Willie Green? Why does he still have a job? Now, some of these NBA firings are, player driven and can be not exactly fair, just, appropriate. But the thing I have is, all right. Well, you fired this general manager when, say, David Griffin and Mickey Loomis are both out of a job today. Who gets another GM's job quicker?
Well,
it's not close.
No, it's not. When Griffin was available, there was a lot of demand for him. He turned down other jobs to take the Pelicans job.
I understand. So do you think he has another GM job in his future?
Yes.
Yes, I do. You think Mickey Loomis has another GM job in his future after he's done with the Saints?
No. Now he's older, but no. Even if Mickey Loomis was 5 years younger, no, I don't think so.
That's my point. Is Miss Gale paying attention, or is she? It's a little bit misdirect. No, she's active, but that doesn't mean she's paying attention when you've got way more accomplished coaches being fired and you got a way less respected general manager still employed under your watch.
This is an easy read, okay? She has been willing to make moves with the basketball team. She's fired 3 coaches now, okay? And she's now fired 2 GMs. But she hasn't been willing to do that with the Saints. And why? Because she trusts Mickey Loomis. The
Saints have had success, Charlie.
They have.
Okay, the Pelicans never have.
No,
okay.
I can't.
They've been here how long now? Since the Hornets came over
02.
with Baron Davis.
02.
I mean, this is
this is the second worst record since they've been here.
22-23 season sample now. Never done anything.
No.
I mean, they've won
2 playoff series.
2 playoff series. The Saints have had more success, so that's what she knows.
And I'm not saying that she should have made moves with Loomis before Peyton retired or Peyton left and Breeze retired. But yes, it's past time with that. This basketball situation, this is an attractive situation. Okay, this is actually everything.
Well, that's why Griffin took it.
No, I'm talking about now.
Yeah, I know, but
it was
I
an
mean,
attractive situation then.
It was about the same as it is now.
He took the job before they got the number 1 pick. Okay, before they had to pick Zion.
Yeah, but he still had one on his roster too.
He did, and he was.
And
they were going to
Davis.
have to move him.
Okay,
and
but
it
still,
was, and
he
made
had
a good
piece.
trade. He got value for him. Put it that way.
Yeah.
When the Davis camp backed him into a corner, he actually got something out of the only team that Davis was willing to go to. So I give him credit for that. The trade wasn't perfect, but at least he got.
No, he maximized the situation,
or
close to it.
Yeah, if you're a coach or a GM looking at this situation, you're like, man, they went 21-61 with their whole team on the bench. I get all these guys back. You got the 4th best odds at winning the lottery. Okay, you got a transcendent player, we think, in Cooper Flagg, possibility. Even if not, you're still going to get another good player to go with this. You can win with this team next year if you can ever get them on the doggone floor. I mean, it's not one of those things where you look at it and go, man, there ain't no talent there. You're in a 4-year rebuild. If you get just a little bit of luck and you bring a fresh set of eyes in on this thing, you can win with this team. I'm not saying you can win an NBA title next year, but there's no reason you can't win a playoff series next year. There really isn't from 15th place.
But the Pelicans were a popular pick going into this season.
Going into the season,
yeah,
and they would have been. I don't think
as
they would
far
have
as
won the series.
making a little noise.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think they would have won the series with Oklahoma City last year if Zion had played, but they would have got swept. I don't think they would have gotten swept. So there's stuff to build here on.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get when you call 296-0060. Our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Bonham-Donald, Mariana Broussard-Haynes, Adrian Reese-Galata, Michael Platt, and Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title.
Live at the Queen. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back talking to you. Hopefully you had a good trip over across the pond.
I did, man. I did. It was great. It really was. It was a lot of fun. So let me. I want to start before we get to the Masters and try and get a gauge of with that. That you want to talk about a stock market jumping around. I think the stock market has had a little bit of jumps and dips and
it's been an interesting few weeks.
Well, it was a little bit analogous to the live market for the Masters yesterday. But Troy, I got to go back. What the hell did you think of the Final Four?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, there was so much drama, so much late heroics. You know, people were talking about how there wasn't a lot of madness this March. Well, there was. Duke blew a lead with a minute to go. Duke, the American team, the team that everyone loves to hate, has the best player in the country, the number 1 overall pick. They blew a lead with a minute to go to a Houston team that had really not been able to get over the hump and beat elite teams with scoring, and they did. And then in that final game, Houston, blows a huge lead and a late lead to a team in Florida that had rallied back in 3 or 4 straight games. Sure, the quality of the game may have not been super elite, but the level of energy, competition, fighting tooth and nail, it was so good. One of the best Final Fours I can ever remember, and the national championship game was pure drama. Even though, there were missed shots, it was ugly in the second half. That first half was incredible. And if we're talking first half, the Auburn-Florida first half was maybe the best 20 minutes of basketball I saw all year.
Speaking of the live, what was the biggest live lines at Duke? In the semi, and then Houston in the final.
Yeah, so I believe you could have gotten Houston at I think live was 50-1, 60-1 maybe against Duke. Yeah, certainly we didn't take a lot of bets on that. I think we did take a few at $25, which is a great payout. And then Florida never got above plus 650. Now that's still it's 6-1, 7-1, still good odds, but I mean they were down 13-14 before halftime, and I was tracking to see how long they would get because I would have jumped all over that. if it got to 8 or 9-1. But it was around 7-1 was the longest Florida got as an underdog in the national championship game.
I mean, did Duke lose every close game this year? Is that pretty much how it was?
I think they ended up 2-5 in games decided by 6 points or less.
Okay. Any blame on these two collapses, Charlie, Troy?
Well, I couldn't get the ball in. I know you would.
Really? Something new, huh?
You would have been pretty upset about that in the Duke-Houston game.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Houston can't get a shot off in the last possession, last minute. Really, I think there is some blame. I don't think either team. Yeah, I don't think it was a one-sided choke job for either team, but I do think that they did fail to answer the bell. But I think Houston stole that game as much as Duke gave it to them, and then Florida did what Florida does this entire tournament, which is back themselves into a corner and come out swinging, and so I think it's equal on both sides.
Florida certainly had the clutch gene, didn't they? I mean, they have, they had their scares, and there's no doubt about that against, several teams. But the one is one that, so I kind of ruled Houston out, and I was wrong in that because they were that close to winning it all. But the reason why is ultimately why they blew it. And they went through not just a scoring drought, but they couldn't even get a shot off in the last three possessions. Not even a shot off. So that got them. And then one is a general pet peeve of mine in college basketball. Nobody sets picks. Nobody runs plays. I'd say nobody. Very few run plays. And they can't get the ball in at the end of the game when another team applies pressure. And it's flat out cost teams games. Houston stole one of those in Lawrence, Kansas this year. So. And that's what happened to Duke, because how can he not be prepared for it? And Shire, I'm ready to anoint him, Charlie, and then he can't do something as basic as this against a team. You got to know, man, we might be up 6 in protect mode against this defense. This defense is good. We better have something just run to a spot. Yeah,
agreed. I think. It was kind of indicative of what we've seen, this year, where some good teams, like even the best teams, just kind of play with their food. Duke is certainly susceptible to that. And the thing I always thought on Houston is we know exactly who they are. The toughest team in the country, high-quality players, struggle to make shots and buckets against elite teams. And I thought they would come up short against Duke, because they didn't have the bucket getters down the stretch. Well, they made buckets down the stretch. The thing I thought about Houston actually bit them in the butt in the finals, where they couldn't make shots down the stretch. That's been their Achilles heel, is just they don't have elite scoring. They have elite basketball players, but they've never been a dynamic scoring team. And I was surprised that it did rear its ugly head, because Houston does not beat themselves. That is not part of Houston's makeup. We have not seen Houston beat themselves basically ever over the last 4 years. They beat themselves with 3 minutes to go in the national championship game, and it's just very surprising that they got there because they were able to make shots, and then they just stopped making shots, and their unflappability, I guess is the word, just wasn't there, which has been part of this program since the moment Kelvin Sampson took the reins.
All right, let's get to the Masters. And where was that thing bouncing around? It's difficult because it moves so quickly. I mean, from shot to shot. But the great thing about betting the live on the golf is that you have space between shots. Because the TV is so behind the golf itself. If you're looking at the live odds, you can anticipate that you're about to see a poor shot by one golfer or a really good shot by another golfer. So, but give us a general idea where this thing was going. I think Bryson was maybe around plus 250 going into the final round. Rory was minus money. And where did it bounce around with all of the swings that we had, with three different, we had about 4 different lead changes in our final round yesterday.
I believe McIlroy went off at like minus 175 and Bryson was like plus 225, I believe. And then it flip-flopped right after that first hole. you probably would have gotten your best odds on McIlroy after hole 1 because, we know he's susceptible to a meltdown. He certainly, the last 2 holes on Thursday or Friday, did him in. So I didn't check it right after the first hole, but I bet you probably plus 300, plus 400. I know that 450 was the highest or the longest he got on Sunday. I don't think Book was willing to really go much further than that, and I also don't think he was 4 shots ahead for most of the round. We had the most money on Rory to win the event before the event began. We had more tickets on him than anyone else, which is and usually that position is occupied by Scottie Scheffler. It has been for basically the last 2 years. Rory's usually number 2 or number 3 in tickets and handle to win majors. This one he actually had the lion's share, or at least the most. And so with that, there's a very high level of liability for the book. So I don't think, there's really going to be a lot of flexibility in those live odds. One interesting one, because I was trying to check to see if there's if you could get any value on McIlroy towards the latter stage of the Sunday round. You could have actually gotten Justin Rose at 2,100, right before he sank, or hit his approach shot on 18 before he hit that really, really nice putt to make essentially give himself a shot at the playoffs. And as soon as he hits that shot, it goes from 2,100 to plus 300. So there was some volatility on people not named McIlroy. And even after McIlroy misses the putt, they go to the playoffs. They both hit great approach shots to the green. I look at the live odds, and McIlroy's minus 500. So I thought maybe, they would offer a shorter price or a longer price just because, he missed a putt on 18. And people wonder about his nerves and about if he can get the monkey off his back. And I was surprised to see it at minus 500. But, yeah, I was hoping it would be somewhere around minus 200. I probably would have fit on that. But because Bryson, struggled, there wasn't really a lot of pressure on McIlroy, so the odds stayed pretty short throughout the round. With I think 1 or 2 points, you could have got him around plus 375 and plus 400.
Charlie, so you did Max put out Rose a first round leader
on Autolux? Yeah.
Okay.
Autolux,
very good. And so.
He had. I want to say it was 3 times in the last 8 years or 4 times in the last 10 years. He's been the first.
Oh, he's
leader.
cheap speed, man. He's a rabbit. Yeah, no doubt. But you took him a little bit in game, and what did you cash him out at?
Well, I took
the final round. Talk about Rose.
Yeah, I took him at plus 600 when he had a 3-stroke lead. I thought that was enough of a cushion to where I could cash out later on, and I did cash out on him on the back 9 on Sunday, late in the back 9 on Sunday.
Plus 400 or so.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, right about that. My ticket also included a Rory ticket. I took my Rory insurance ticket, and I also had Alberg. So when 3 of them were tied there, I had to decide which one I was going to keep. I could have kept all 3, but I was trying to cash one and cash out another one at the end, and it worked out for me. I'm not. It was a little bit of a risky move, but if Rose makes the putt and Rory, puts another one in the bunker, I would have felt like an idiot.
A week and a half from the draft, too, Troy. We did the podcast earlier today, and a great betting menu for the draft over at Bet Rivers.
Yeah, it's really starting to ramp up. One of the more popular ones is player position over under. I've had some great success there with basketball last year in the draft. And I think with football, with a lot of times early on being need-based, that you can really get some good value on, if a player is not going to go here, he may not go for 8 or 10 picks because the team needs that specific player. So the numbers are really important on, and doing some research on which teams have talked to guys, which teams are earmarking, specific positions. So I like the betting the draft just because I think there's some value to be had given news and information that you can kind of catch an edge on. But at the same time, not the world's most robust market. They will, if news breaks, you will see stuff come down. And then certainly it really gets limited the day or two before the draft because while it is news-based and you can catch an edge, it's news-based. So people can, all it takes is knowing information that someone else doesn't have. So news-based events are going to be more tightly monitored. more restricted in terms of max bet and also availability of options.
Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's Machir. Troy, great stuff, man. Good to catch up with you. We will talk to you on Friday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. So we got a bunch of great draft options over here at the Queen. Also, you got to get every team, which position they're going to draft. So you've got that. So they're kind of more and more of the odds are coming up. What else do we have here? Well, the number 2 pick, Travis Hunter, is minus 330 right now here at the Queen. Abdul Carter, number 3 pick, is minus 270. You worry about the Giants there? It's because they're in protect job mode to pull the trigger on a quarterback there? Or?
Well, they've already taken 2 quarterbacks in free agency to keep their jobs. So
those guys are who? Jameis Winston
and Russell Wilson. But
if was on his 3rd team.
My point is, those guys are going to play early, and you want to. If you're trying to protect your job, you want to bring somebody in who can help you immediately. Shadir Sanders is going to sit on the bench for a while if you bring him in. He's not going to help you in September and October to save your job. And believe me, those jobs are on the line at the beginning of the season. They might not make it to Halloween. So I would say go take somebody who can be on the field on game 1, play 1, that can make a difference, and that's Abdul Carter. I don't know if they're thinking like that. That's how I would be thinking.
Shedeur Sanders, a favorite, is the New Orleans Saints at minus 110 here at the Queen. The Steelers are second choice at plus 350. Giants still there at plus 450. So that is a little update as we continue. Don't forget that our golf picks each and every Wednesday, the Consensus Picks, brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com. Never a charge for that initial consultation at the law offices of O.C. Brown. So dedicated to protecting your rights, fighting for the justice you deserve. So personal injury, criminal defense, DWI, estate planning, you name it, a great team of attorneys, Dana Brown, Susan Brown, Chris Perrette, David Connican. Never a charge for that initial consultation, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Henny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Will Guillory of The Athletic and Shams Charania of ESPN both reporting that Willie Green will remain in place as Pelicans coach at least until a replacement for David Griffin is in place. After that, they're not guaranteeing anything. But for the moment, Willie Green is going to stay as the Pelicans coach. It's worth noting that Willie Green probably doesn't deserve in a vacuum to get fired. He increased the number of wins over a 3-year period every year, and this year he was forced to basically play with a G League team. But the point is that the Pelicans are in position with the roster they have coming back, if they can ever get on the court, plus this lottery pick, to really attract a experienced, proven coach. And Mike Malone's out there. Jimmy's coached 80 playoff games and won 55% of them. Mike Budenholzer was just fired by the Suns, has coached in 104 playoff games. He's won 54% of them. If the Sixers fired Nick Nurse, he's coached in 47 playoff games and won 57% of them, and all 3 of those guys have won championships. Willie Green's coached in 10 playoff games and won 2 of them. I'm not saying it's all his fault. I'm saying that there are better alternatives out there for you right now.
He's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's part of the deal. I don't think it's all his fault, but
it's result based. I mean, that's just the world.
This guy's getting fired doing way more than he.
Yeah, way more accomplished. Way more accomplished.
Hour number 2, straight ahead from the Queen, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Henny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at the Queen, live at lunch. Jimmy, back off vacation. Did they call a check here at the Queen? They call a check on you? Make sure.
They did.
Make sure that you were, you okay?
Yes.
Back from vacation. Max going to be out for a couple of days, but he weighed in on the Masters early today. The LSU baseball team ran into a little bit of problem over the weekend against Auburn. They get swept for the first time this year. Finished the first half of the SEC season at 10-5. Tigers lose 8-4 on Friday night, 4-2 on Saturday, and 3-2 on Sunday. I can go through the games piece by piece, but here's the overview of some of the things that LSU looked lethargic at the plate all weekend. No kidding. They had 18 hits in 3 games. This is, before everybody panics, this is officially what's known in the vernacular as a slump. LSU is now in a 5-game hitting slump. Do I think they're a bad hitting team? I do not. Do I think they're in a slump? I think they are. You go back to the third game against Oklahoma, in which they only scored 3 runs and only 1 earned run. They had 6 hits in that game. That was a frigid day in Norman. It wasn't a hitter's day, but they didn't hit there. They didn't hit in Thibodeau on Tuesday night. They scored all 5 of their runs in 1 inning. Now, they won both of those games, but eventually this caught up with them. This weekend, they had 3 hits with runners in scoring position over the weekend, which meant they left 26 men on base. They only had 6 extra base hits in the 18 hits over the weekend. So all of that, you are in a hitting slump. So you should, attack it thusly. However it is you go about attacking slumps. And you got a lot of different theories on what to do that. But, the first thing is acknowledge. Are they in a slump? Yes. Are they a bad hitting team? I really don't think so. One of the other big stories we were watching this weekend was Cade Anderson and how he would bounce back from that 135-pitch effort against Oklahoma on 8 days rest. Anderson's line looks terrible. 85 pitches. He gave up 6 runs, 5 earned. He walked 1 and struck out 6. In actuality, I thought he pitched a little bit better than that. In the second inning, he had 2 ground balls that squirted through the infield. One of them beat the shift. And then Chase Fralick for Auburn, I thought, went down and got a good pitch and doubled in 2 runs. And then the 5th inning, with 1 on and 1 out, you had a sharply hit ball to Tanner Reeves at third. This is a double play ball. I'm not telling you it wasn't hit sharply, but this is a play that you're supposed to make. And he's charged with the error instead of the double play. You've got runners at first and second, and then you get a bloop single. And then Ike Irish, who's the best hitter for Auburn, crushes one about 400 feet to straightaway center field that gets down for a 3-run triple. The other thing about Friday night's game is Sam Dutton, who started the game for Auburn and spent 3 years at LSU, wanted a piece of his old team. And he pitched with a lot of emotion, but to his credit, he was able to keep those emotions from keeping him from getting a little bit too wild. Sometimes you go out there too juiced up and you don't pitch well, you overthrow or whatever. He didn't. I thought that Anderson pitched better than his line indicated, but nowhere near as well as Dutton did. Am I concerned about Anderson moving forward? A little bit. Not because of the high pitch count in the middle game against Oklahoma, but now this is 2 out of 3 games where he's essentially had the same line. 4 1/3, 5 earned runs against Auburn, and he had essentially almost identical line against Mississippi State. So this is 2 out of 3. Overly concerned? No. Something I'm keeping an eye on? Absolutely. Second game, Auburn wins that one 4-2. Again, I thought that there was a lack of focus with a lot of the at-bats, really lethargic, bad. They just looked like they were not mentally focused on the game, and a lot of the at-bats reflected that. Cade Fisher had his longest outing of the year for Auburn. LSU knows a little bit about him. They saw him in the championship series 2 years ago, but for a guy that came in with a 4.5 ERA, he tied him in knots for his longest outing of the year. Thought Anthony Einson was good for 3 innings, and then the LSU defense, which has been really good all year, let him down again. He gave up a double to start the 4th. Okay, no problem. You can deal with that. But then a misplay by Curiel in left field. The ball got over his head. I ain't going to kill Curiel. He's having an All-American type season. But he misplayed this ball. It got over his head. And so that's the second straight double. The third double was a ball that I couldn't believe that Stanfield didn't take in center field. Josh Pearson is on a dead sprint from right field. I mean, he must have covered, 30, 35 yards to make a diving attempt at this, and I thought it was Stanfield's ball the whole way. So some bad defense, again, cost LSU in what ended up being a pretty close game. Third inning, Fisher had his roughest inning of the outing, where he's trying to help you. He hit 2 batters to open the inning. In the inning, and he walked 1 to load the bases with 2 outs. But Stanfield struck out again. Timely hitting wasn't there this weekend. 2 on in the 8th. Curiel hits a liner right at the shortstop. That's a little bit of bad luck. So you had, I thought, some bad defense and a little bit of bad luck there, but really just that lack of timely hitting. And Sunday's game, I was really, really surprised at LSU's effort yesterday. I thought they sleptwalked through the game. I thought they had a lot of bad at-bats, a lot of lazy at-bats. They had the bullpen locked. They had Cowan and Evans, who had not given up, had not pitched in the series yet. And Chase Shores did not pitch well coming out. Walked a couple. The walks are really starting to pile up on him now. He gave up 3 earned runs. They got him out of the game quick. Cowan and Evans did their deal. They pitched 6 scoreless innings, and they are by far the biggest strength of this team right now. But LSU had 4 hits in the game. They're 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. If you're gonna hit like that, then you're not going to win very many games in the conference, and even fewer of them on the road. So coming out of this, I thought the bats were lethargic all weekend. I thought the team lacked energy. It's the end of a 7-game road trip. I expect them to come out with a lot more vim and vigor on Thursday night. Rough starting pitching this weekend. They had their moments, but mostly the starting pitching was not as good as you would hope. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't good either. Bright spots, LSU's bullpen, besides Cowan and Evans, besides them, pitched 6 2/3 innings of 1-run baseball. You're asking other people to step up in the bullpen. They had some guys do that this weekend. Uncharacteristic bad defense from Reeves, from Curiel, from Stanfield. I don't expect that to continue, but they made some really rough plays this weekend that cost LSU. And more than anything, what I took out of this weekend is LSU is right now in a slump, and how long does it take you to get out of that? Over the weekend in the league, Tennessee won 2 out of 3 at Ole Miss. That's really hard to do. Ole Miss is pretty good. Arkansas lost 2 one-run games at Georgia. That was a really, really competitive and interesting series. Arkansas got a big 9th inning on Friday to catch 1 win. A&M has now won 5 in a row in the league. They swept South Carolina. They hit 2 grand slams in the 9th inning in the final of that one. Palmineri's team went in with a 9-run lead in the 7th inning and a 5-run lead in the 9th and lost. Crimson Tide lost 2 out of 3 at Mississippi at home against Mississippi State. They've now lost 4 out of 6 there on their way to Baton Rouge. So kind of my synopsis of the
LSU
weekend.
8-9 in most of the polls. Out Texas #1 by everybody.
Top 5 all SEC, right? Or 4 out of 5 SEC along
Clemson
with Clemson.
Clemson is number 3 in D1. So they kind of shook up. But Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, North Carolina is in the top 5 in one of them. So, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, and who am I missing? Put four of the top 5. Everybody's top 5.
Yeah,
who's the next one I'm missing? Auburn's up to 8 most.
Yeah, Tennessee. Did you say Tennessee?
Yeah, I said Tennessee.
Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, and Arkansas.
Yes,
that's for the top 5.
Yeah,
and then LSU, Auburn also in the top 10. Yeah, the league is stacked. 19 wins may very well get you a top 8 national seed. Sometimes 19 to me is always kind of the cutoff point. You wonder about if the league is going to fall victim to a little bit of quota politics. Sometimes that happens, but 19 and 11 should do it, especially with who LSU's got to play coming down. You're playing Alabama this week. You're playing Tennessee the following week. You're playing A&M the week after that. You're playing Arkansas the week after that. I mean, that's plenty of RPI power. All you got to do is get to 19 wins, and you're going to be fine.
Texas A&M. Back-to-back grand slams.
That was one of the most bizarre 9th innings. You're going up 5.
God. They sweep them, right?
Yeah, they sweep them. South Carolina's really bad. God bless Palmineri. I don't know what kind of situation he walked into there or what budget he's dealing with or whatever, but they're not good. But usually home runs are rally killers in a lot of times. I mean, if you hit a grand slam and you're still behind, to restart the rally after that, I mean, that ain't the easiest thing to do. You're up 9 runs in the 7th inning. You feel like you ought to win. But A&M is coming to life a little bit after a really, really slow start. This is a preseason number 1 team in the country. And, when they lost Grahovic, the All-American third baseman, that was a big, big blow. But they were losing a lot of games that they shouldn't have lost. Well, now they take the last 2 at Tennessee were really impressive. South Carolina's not good. You win that series. But I'm keeping an eye on them.
Georgia,
they've got enough talent.
Georgia, Arkansas comes down to an extra inning game to decide that series.
To decide the series, and they played 2 7-6 ball games. What I took out of that series, which is Captain Obvious, Georgia can really, really hit. Their bullpen is not good. And their starting pitching is really not that good. Their longest outing by a starter is 5 2/3 innings all year. So they're one of those.
But how much of their style? That's kind of all is ballpark produced.
I think they would like to have a little bit better pitching, but all of these parks are offensive parks. There's no question about it.
You don't think Georgia more than most?
There's a lot of. It is a hitter's park. Okay, I've done probably a dozen games there. Absolutely hitter's park. Their pitching is usually a little bit better than that. They're a good team. They're a dangerous team. They can beat you 10-8 any day of the week. Okay, and Arkansas is really good. So to take a series from them, that ain't nothing. We're going to see Arkansas here in about 3 weeks. That's going to be interesting. So
Alabama coming in, kind of coming back down to earth a little bit because they were exceeding expectation. I mean, they were a top 10 team, and watching them play, I'm like, I don't know this top 10.
They've been blown out the last 2 Friday nights. I mean, blown out. So they don't have that guy up at the top of the rotation that you would think of a top 20 team. They can hit now, but they've lost 4 out of 6 coming into this weekend.
Lose 2 out of 3 at home to State. Yesterday was like a pitcher's duel, though. Like 3-1?
I forgot the score, but
it
was low scoring. It was low scoring. But LSU's in a slump. That's what I'm going to call it for now.
They're not grinding out at bats?
They were not. I thought the at bats were really a lot of lazy at bats this weekend. They had 27 fly balls outs for the weekend. I mean, just a lot of pop ups, a lot of weak at bats. I can't put it any other way. And the results exemplified that. Didn't get any. Browns hit in the 8th, I guess, yesterday was a clutch hit. But other than that, and Milam homer to give them the lead on Saturday. But other than that, man, there were not a lot of good at bats for LSU this weekend.
What if Schlossnagle would have pulled some of the big boys from A&M to his roster at Texas?
Yeah, no kidding, huh? This guy's a good coach. They're going to be good every year he's there.
Yes. They should be.
And
he's
a
little outlier every now and then, but
he's ahead of schedule. I expected them to be good this year. I didn't expect them to be top 5 good this year.
Unanimous number 1 today.
Yeah, and I certainly didn't expect that.
Back on my routine over here at the getting back over here yesterday, enjoying all the games, the Masters at the DraftKings Sportsbook here at the Queen Casino, and on my way home hit my friends over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson. Tex-Mex with a twist, you bet. So don't forget, our happy hour is Monday through Friday, 2:30 to 6:30. 2:30 to 6:30. But tomorrow, put it on your schedule. Taco Tuesday, 3 p.m. till close. Every Tuesday over at Los Reyes. And Wednesdays, small margaritas are just $5. Ones by the glass are $5. So, again, on Corsi, our happy hours Monday through Friday. But Lee Drive, it is 7 days a week, 2:30 to 6:30. Go by and see my friends, Mr. Kyle, Mr. Scott, over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Nicholson, on Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Henny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Today's show brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. When it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike, so let Coastal Capital Advisors work with you no matter what your age, your income. They'll put together a plan that is perfect for you. I know because that's what they've done for me. And in a time where the market has been doing what it's doing for the last, several weeks, you can have an advisor that will talk to you, will tell you what it means for you, will spell out all of your options, and basically just keep you kind of calm when things get a little bit crazy. Philip Fontenot's done a great job for me. He will for you too. The 337-981-1376 or online coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. Friday night, we had a little bit of news come across. I would say that this qualifies as more. Jeff Duncan called it the mother. I think it's the mother of all news dumps or something like that. But the news broke that Derek Carr has a shoulder injury that could put his status for the entire 2012 season in jeopardy. The Saints begin their offseason training program today. The injury, which we know very little about other than it could cost him the entire season, has sent shockwaves from everything from the Saints, but also into the projections in the NFL draft, and of course Shedeur Sanders. The news comes with all kinds of unanswered questions. In no particular order here. When did this injury occur, and how did this injury occur? And we ask those questions because the Saints just renegotiated Derek Carr's contract just a little over a month ago. Diana Rossini from The Athletic, as well as other reports, have suggested that the Saints have known about this for a while. So was this in place when the restructure was done? Did they know about the injury then? Did he pass a physical at that point? Did they know about it and have to do the restructure anyway because doing something with Derek Carr's contract was the only way they were going to get under the salary cap this year and still be able to field a team? They're on the hook for $20.4 million this year, $69.4 million in 2026 on Derek Carr. And right now, Jimmy, $69 million next year in the cap hit. And right now, if I had to guess, I would say if I had to go behind that counter right there and lay odds, I would lay you 4-1 that Derek Carr has taken his last snap as a New Orleans Saint. I can't tell you for sure. Maybe this injury is not quite as bad. Maybe something happens. But if you ask me up or down, I would tell you that Derek Carr has played his last snap for the Saints, and they're on the hook for $90 million-ish. And that's before you get into what you got to do to restructure the contract next year just to get under with a guy that now
hits keep on coming.
I mean, this is the gift that keeps on giving.
It's unbelievable.
You had a chance to, yes, it would have been expensive and it would have been painful, but you had a chance to move on.
And so this goes on.
Twice.
So Miss Gale was so pissed off, she fired the Pelicans GM.
Yeah, she fired David Griffin. That Mickey Loomis has, put him in this position.
I mean, David Griffin can't think about doing as many poor things as Loomis has done.
No,
I mean, he can't imagine to do this many things.
And he wasn't perfect. He made some mistakes, but compared to what is going on with the Saints,
he made some hits too.
No, he made a lot of hits.
And he's had a lot of bad luck too. I mean,
he should have moved Brandon Ingram a year before he did. That was my biggest problem with him because they knew they couldn't sign him. They knew they were going to have to move him. They waited too late on that. Past that,
Ingram also led him to a very competitive series against the Phoenix Suns.
I liked Brandon Ingram as a player, and I thought he was worth what they offered him. And if you look at what Toronto signed him for, it's not terribly different from what the Pelicans offered him. He thought at the time he was a max player. Not just the Pelicans, but everybody in the league told him that he wasn't. So once he dug in like that and said, hey, look, man, I would have moved him. But getting back to the Saints, what I fear is that this is going to prompt even more panic moves, okay? You're going to make a move for a quarterback. I mean, it's just degrees of bad right now. Mm-hmm. Please tell me that you're not going to make a trade up in the draft to secure getting a quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, or put some Godfather offer on the table for Cam Ward. Please tell me that this is not going to have you entertain the idea, and I don't know how this is even possible, but since they brought it up, I'll address it. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, not no, but hell no.
Shedeur Sanders?
Shedeur Sanders at 9.
Well, that's not your best available.
No, and we talked about that last week. Shedeur Sanders is a big gamble. Could pay off. I'm not telling you he can't be a good NFL quarterback. He may even be a great NFL quarterback one day. I don't know. But I know it's not a sure thing, and there's other places I would rather go. There's a lot more guys that I would consider absolutely are going to be really good football players that they can get at 9 that have – I'm from the Ozzie Newsome school of drafting. In the first round, give me the guy with the highest floor. And let me put a bunch of good pieces around, and then maybe I can hit on a guy later on. But that's not where I want to gamble in the first round, and the Saints do it routinely. So Shedeur Sanders may be an all-pro one day. I don't know. But I know he's not the safest guy they could take there in a team that is desperate for building blocks before you swing for the fences. So if this injury causes them to take him, I think it's risky. If it causes them to trade up for a quarterback, it's bad move after bad move. But I really want some answers to all these questions. Derek Carr is posting, and I didn't know this until this story broke, he's posting family pictures. He's on vacation with his family in Europe. He's been in Italy. He's been in France. Fantastic. It's the off season. Travel with your family. But how did you get hurt, and when did you get hurt, and what did the Saints know, and when did they know it, and were they forced into a corner to renegotiate this contract just because they didn't have any other choice? How many segments did we do about the Saints salary cap? I mean, you got tired of it. I got tired of saying it. People got tired of hearing it, but it was the facts of the matter were they had to do something with his contract just to get a team on the damn field this year. You know how many guys they would have had to cut if they wouldn't have had to move some of his salary around? I don't know, man. I'm searching for a plan. Please, for the love of God, tell me what your plan is if you're Mickey Loomis, because it ain't short term and it ain't long term, and it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it. And this is just the latest in another. I mean, please tell me tell you what I would do. Okay, if I got pushed into that job today and they said, okay, fix it. Okay, you are monumentally screwed. Not just next year, but I think the following year too. So what would you do? And what I would do is I would go out and sign a cheap veteran quarterback to get him through this year. I wouldn't start him. I would start Radler or Haener if you like him better, and keep one of these veterans on the bench just in case, the world explodes and they can't get one of these guys out there. Somebody like Teddy Bridgewater, maybe Carson Wentz, Jeff Driscoll, Tyler Huntley, somebody who can at least spit a play out at the line of scrimmage and get you moving, but nothing that is going to indicate that this is going to be a competitive football team this year. At least not that I see. I wouldn't compound the problem by drafting a quarterback and throwing him to the Wolves next year. I mean, you run the risk of ruining the guy if you do that.
So the Saints, we talked about how they're a compromised organization and join, I don't know, a group of 10 to 12 other teams. The Saints are moving up the ladder really quick as the most compromised organization.
Yeah. They're the most compromised salary cap-wise. I don't think they have the worst roster in the NFL, but I think they're in the bottom 8. They're the longest shots to win the conference, win the Super Bowl, or tied for it. Those odds didn't do anything but go down. Because with Derek Carr, the whole reason I want to bring Derek Carr back is you might actually win some games. Okay, and you don't have a roster that's poised to make any kind of move.
Saints will win more games with Derek Carr than Haener and Radler,
yes,
or Hundley.
Yeah,
somebody like that. The fans are ready to bring in Shedeur. They're all ready.
And I understand why, even if I don't agree with it. I understand why, because they want to be excited about something.
100%. And this would fit this whole, kick the can type of deal. I mean, yeah, you're going to have Shedeur. Yeah, he'll be a rookie contract, but you're still paying.
Your starter is in street clothes. Your starter money is in street clothes, not your starter.
So the dead money, they'll be up there in dead money. I know this. The Saints fan base, they don't want to see Derek Carr take another snap.
No, they don't. They don't want to see him in the building.
They despise him.
You got to really ask yourself who wanted Derek Carr back with the Saints besides Mickey Loomis, because Anybody that's watching the team doesn't want him back.
Charlie,
and Derek Carr didn't want to be back. He said, hey, look, you want to trade me? Go ahead and take – I'm not taking a pay cut, but if you can move me, go ahead and move me.
You're raising your voice right there.
Because I'm aggravated.
Right. I gave up on caring about the Saints a long time ago.
I
don't get aggravated.
You're just smarter than me.
My stress levels go
You're
down.
Smarter than
How
me.
can you want to?
These blood pressure pills, they're in black and gold.
You need more evidence that this is a joke of a run organization, and because you have a special relationship between owner and general manager, and the hits keep on coming.
How much worse does it have to get? If he restructured this contract knowing this guy had this injury, I mean, that's a fireable offense anywhere. I mean, it really is.
The media, the Saints media base, enough to they're going to ask these questions too, or are they not going to get They're not going to get, or is that just
well, Loomis comes out about once or twice a year. Now, I didn't know this. They are required to have by the NFL to have a press conference the week of the draft. I thought they just did that to put on a dog and pony show to go out there and the press conferences themselves are a joke. They say, who do you like? Oh, well, let me tell you who's where on our draft board. I mean, the whole thing's a big disinformation campaign.
Well, I mean,
but
how different is that for college football where the coach has his national signing day?
It's not.
And everybody's real.
It's not.
They're just very flowery.
There's no hard news is going to come out of those. But I didn't know they were required to do it. They're required to do it. So next week, they got to come out and answer questions. Whether they will or not, I don't know. But they got somebody from the organization is required by the NFL to come out, sit behind a microphone next week, and answer questions from the media. I know these questions are going to be asked. I don't know if they'll be answered, but I know that they're going to be asked.
You told me wouldn't change till I'm 6 feet under. I'm telling you, the Saints are dead until Loomis is removed. It's just
they are. And I agree with that.
The level of incompetence is just it's out the roof, and it's let's kick the can, let's dig a hole, I mean, what is the purpose of this timing? To release this information
because the player workouts were. Start today,
and he was absent.
Somebody was going to notice that he wasn't there.
Well, you would notice that your highest paid player is not there.
So they had to say something, and they waited until Friday afternoon, which is what you do with a news dump. You wait till Friday afternoon when everybody's got one foot out the door for the weekend, and you hope nobody's paying attention, and you hope things calm down over a couple of days. I mean, that's PR 101.
Well, the fan base fine. They don't want to see him again.
Right?
No matter what.
They didn't care if he was hurt or not.
No, they just don't want to see him. And for a guy that's very average or mediocre, the level of despise is unbelievable for that guy.
It has ramped up in a hurry.
When it should be more Loomis, way more. I mean, what you're going to overpay me? Okay, that's. Who out there, what Saints season ticket holder is not going to accept being overpaid? Whatever they do.
Everybody would have took the deal. And I didn't even have a problem with the first deal. When they brought him in the first time, I was like, okay, let's see if this works. Because it was a deal initially that they could get out of after the first year.
But you did a good job of spelling out, hey, do you want Daniel Jones? Do you want Derek Carr? These are the ones that are available, and these are the prices. It's not going to be on Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
You want to pay $5 million for a quarterback, you get Carson Wentz, okay? So I was okay with taking a chance the first year. And then it was easy enough to take the cap hit the second year and get out of it and move forward. But they kept compounding it.
They hated him in Vegas, too. They hated him in Vegas.
Yeah,
and that playoff year, he was good. He was good.
He's had some good moments. He is not a terrible quarterback. It's not like he's the worst quarterback in the league, but the circumstances surrounding him.
It's
not even all his fault. I mean, all he did
was,
you offer me the deal, I'll take it. But
it's just
no, thank you. No, thank you. Thibodeau Store, down 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. DoItBest.com/Thibodeau Store online. Cajun Cooking Specialty Cookware shipped right to your door. We had a chance to go down there a couple of weeks ago and check out the selection of the Cajun cookware, including the big green egg cookers and all of the accessories. Now that you getting the yard in shape, getting the patio in shape here as we're into spring now, the warmer temperatures, you're going to want to be able to you're going to be able to cook. You're going to be able to want to grill. So lots of grills. Cajun Cookware is shipped right to your door for free. Jim, I know you were impressed with the setup when we went down
I
there.
did some wings on the 24-hour marinated wings and the big egg yesterday, Charlie. Slow cook.
How'd they come out?
Well, you have this cast iron sort of it evens out. I forgot what it's called.
It's a big green cooker.
No. But it's an indirect heat cover, so it
okay.
allows. I mean, you make it. You can't screw up the wing. You can't
Right.
screw up grilling with the indirect heat. Now, you want the indirect heat on your slower cooked items like chicken and things like that, okay, a brisket. No, you want to remove it when you want burgers or steaks and stuff like that. But it is impossible to screw up, Charlie, with some of the gadgets that they have. Gadgets galore for outdoor cooking. You name it, they have. I mean, a cast iron grilled oyster plate. You know, you grill you shuck your oysters right on site. You put them on there. You put your seasoning on the little plate on the grill. I mean, they got everything. They got a roux spoon. Okay, they got a one tray of crawfish, exact scooper for one tray of crawfish for the people that don't like them super spicy like me.
Let them deliver that to you at doitbest.com/Thibodeau store. Live at lunch from the Queen, 104.5 ESPN Back. Queen, 104.5. Total Maintenance, AC and heating, generators, electricity, and plumbing. Total Maintenance, your one-stop sales shop for all of these things since 1980, servicing their customers with the slogan, service today, every day. You call today, you get service today. So you don't have to go to sleep uncomfortable. Full service staff in New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Daykin, and Rheem AC units. Generac and Cummins generators for all your electrical and plumbing needs as well. In Baton Rouge, it's 480-1000. In New Orleans, 841-3300. Service today, every day for Total Maintenance. Friday, the news was just when we were going on the air, really, that Nico Amaleva, butchering that last name, and I'll continue to do. Hopefully, I won't have to talk about it too much. Nico decided he was not going to go to spring practice on Friday because he was not happy with his NIL deal. Allegedly, he had a deal for $2.4 million, and I think it was signed. Although I don't know that, but they said he had agreed to it. So whatever that means, and he wanted $4 million, so he wasn't going to go to practice. Tennessee on Saturday made him an interesting counteroffer. They told him goodbye. Josh Heupel, who went up immeasurably in my estimation this weekend, said, nobody's bigger than the team. We had a deal. You choose to not honor that deal, you can move on down the road. Jimmy, this is just another, I want to say this is just another because this one's a little bit new. We had a guy at UNLV that quit in September, but other than that, the NIL deals that have been done and the movement among players and teams has mostly been within certain windows, okay? Right after the football season, right after the basketball season. There's a late portal, but mostly that's just kind of the leftovers. It's usually not most of the big names. But this is the first time we've seen a player really try to jam the team up because recruiting is over. The big portal is over. Your options in the late portal are pretty limited. You're at the very end of spring practice. You've invested all of this time into him, and he's like, give me my money or I'm walking. And for Tennessee, who's got two other scholarship quarterbacks who have not played at all, this is a hell of a thing to be stuck here in the middle of April without any quarterback experience on your roster. You got to think that the Nico camp thought, we got him. They have to give us the money. They wouldn't dare run us off at this point.
How many other quarterbacks got it when they did this? You know, that we don't know of. I'm sure some.
I don't know that anybody on the morning of threatened not to go to practice. I mean, maybe, but I think that the threats are the negotiations. Let's keep it nice for a minute. After the season ends, okay, you're Carson Beck. You go to Georgia and you say, okay, you know what, this is not working out, or I want this and we don't want to get. I'm going to move on. You guys got plenty of time to go get another quarterback. I'm going to go to Miami. Okay, fine. The kid Mateer up at Washington State had a great year there.
Charlie,
was a top quarterback in the portal. He left right after the season. He was signed by Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold went from Oklahoma to Auburn. There's a time to do this.
No, I get it.
I
get it, but there's still – if Mike Gundy is telling you in August, quit asking me about this.
Yeah.
It's time. We're in April.
You make a good point with the Gundy thing. How much of these do we not know about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because, I mean, it takes for a team to front. I would venture to say they're way more than this one.
Yeah.
That they did cave, and it is your star players. Problem is he's a starting quarterback, which should be a star player, but he's not, and he has not materialized. They were high on him. When they recruited him, they brought him in. He waited his turn, and he started the Iowa bowl game when Iowa couldn't score a point. Mm-hmm. They didn't score a point that game. I think they beat him 28-0. He did a few things with his legs, and then you're reading the preseason guides next year, and I love those anonymous opposing coaches that give you because you usually get kind of the truth there. They don't reveal their anonymity. They know that they know once they do, their information is stopped. But everybody was high on this kid, not just Tennessee, but opposing coaches.
Yeah.
Oh, he fits everything they're trying to do. And we know about Heupel. He tries to Hooker really executed it to perfection. And I'm looking, I'm like, I don't see Hendon Hooker throwing the ball. No. I see an athlete. I see a guy that a lot of people have. Really good athlete, trying to turn into a quarterback. And then they go and play in Norman, Oklahoma, and they're scared to death to throw the ball. I think they threw it like 8 times. Well, the play calling will reveal how much confidence they have. So have we seen Josh Heupel's system be quarterback friendly?
Very much so.
Yeah, we have. And he wasn't all that. Now, he can improve, and he probably was going to improve, but was he developing a way? Well, maybe if he's not doing what he's supposed to do and he's not showing up, this is not the only thing he didn't show up for. This is not the only thing he did wrong, okay, just this little stance. He had given him plenty of instances or data points where they're like, this guy is not a leader. This is probably the highest priced guy. So how is everybody on the team that's committed to doing what they're supposed to, that's making a fraction of what he's making, how are they supposed to rally upon this guy? And so I think this is not just an isolated incident. And this is do you cut loose of a key player or you get into the season, you know what's coming. You're going to have problems, and you're going to be limited what you can accomplish anyway because you can't depend on this guy.
No, and I don't know who – somebody will bring him in because he's talented, but I wouldn't want him. He would have to be so good to overcome this. I mean, he'd have to be Aaron Rodgers in his MVP seasons for me to want to put up with this kind of crap.
But somebody else is going to pick him up.
Yeah, somebody will. Somebody will be desperate enough. I ran this
like,
list.
Wait, where is his falling point? Where is his landing spot? I mean, is it a Kentucky? It's not going to be a program on par with Tennessee.
He can't transfer to an SEC program by rule and play at this point.
Well, I mean, is it an Oklahoma State? No, Gundy won't play that game. But I mean, a program, a Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'll tell you there were
a Baylor.
There were 4 teams that were mentioned most prominently for him when this came.
Central Florida,
USC, UCLA, Maryland, and North Carolina, which I'd love to be a fly on the wall for his meeting with Belichick. But those were some of the schools that were brought.
Belichick ain't putting up with this cat, bro.
The old Bill wouldn't have. New Bill's got his girlfriend on the sidelines, kind of running the scrimmages. I don't know about what's going on over there.
Got his girlfriend running the scrimmages.
You hadn't seen the video. You've been in France. Go watch the video.
Huh?
They did this behind the scenes thing. At
okay,
North Carolina.
It's just a joke.
No. She's like giving instructions and stuff at this spring practice or whatever it is. I'm not saying she's coaching, but she's running around over there like. You have to see it. I can't. I'm doing a lousy job of describing it. It's bizarre.
It's a little bit. It could be a little bit perceived as a little distracting.
Just a touch. Just
Oh,
a touch.
jeez. Well, he's
but
his heart might not be all in. Then. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It was a bizarre piece of video. I gave Bruce Marshall this list real quick. Would you take
UCLA ain't giving him any money.
No.
I mean, I can tell you that.
You wouldn't think. These are returning quarterbacks in the league. Taylor Green at Arkansas. Lenore Sellers at South Carolina.
Well, both got a chance to be really. Both are better than that than Nico.
You stop me when you give me somebody that's better than Nico's better than. I just gave you those two, and I agree. Not either one. Diego Pavia, DJ Lagway, Jackson Arnold.
Yeah,
he may be better than Jackson Arnold.
Yeah,
he might
be. Arnold's kind of an incomplete.
He's erratic.
You know what the thing is? He was more highly recruited than most of those guys.
Everybody but Arnold, pretty much.
Yeah.
Everybody but Arnold.
Yep. So, I mean, just
ugly situation.
Yes, no doubt about that. Don't forget our friends over at Total Diamond Performance. Total Diamond Performance, their new facility at Burbank and Gardere. That's right, Total Diamond Performance. And, man, it is the travel season, the tournament season. I mean, it is on right now. And, man, you want to get that extra bit of work? No problem. Go see my friends over at Total Diamond Performance. They do hitting and bat speed classes anywhere from 7 years old to all the way to high school level. They do the defensive classes, again, anywhere from 7 years old to high school level. So pitching classes as well with Jacob Doyle, 7 to 13. So just pull them up at tdpbaseball.com, tdpbaseball.com. And also for the hitting, bat speed, and defensive classes, contact Nick at tdpbaseball.com. That's Nick Schneider. Nick Schneider at nick@tdpbaseball.com. We are right in the swing of the tournament season. You get that extra bit of work and get more fulfillment out of your tournament season for your youth baseball player at Total Diamond Performance.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You missed it up near the top of the show. David Griffin fired as Pelicans general manager after 6 seasons with the team. Promises to be a eventful 2 weeks in New Orleans as they're looking for a new GM. Reports are that Willie Green will stay on at least until a new GM decides if he will stay on permanently. And, of course, the Saints, with the draft coming up next Thursday, have got to decide or at least talk a little bit about what happened with Derek Carr. Thanks to the folks here at the Queen for being our host today. Tomorrow,
tell them you heard us over here, man.
We are at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City tomorrow. For Jordan back in the studio, for Jimmy Ott, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.